Can you imagine giving away your last penny to a stranger? This heartwarming tale from Innocent Stories will leave you speechless. A poor widow's act of kindness changed a boy's life forever. But what happened years later? Stick around to find out. Matthew had lost his school fees on his way back from school. He had kept it carefully in his pocket, but somehow it had fallen without him knowing. As he walked under the hot sun, tears rolled down his cheeks. He was crying so hard that people passing by looked at him, but no one stopped. A woman sat in her small stall by the roadside, selling tomatoes and pepper. She looked up and saw the boy crying. Her heart moved with pity, and she quickly stood up. "My child, why are you crying like this?" she asked gently. Matthew wiped his face with the back of his hand and sniffed. "Mama, I've lost my school fees. I don't know how. I've searched everywhere, but I can't find it." The woman stepped closer. "Calm down, my son. Tell me what happened. By the way, my name is Madam Patricia. What would you do if you saw a child in tears, desperate and alone?" This is where Innocent Stories brings you a moment that defines humanity. Matthew explained, "I live with my father and stepmother. My father lost his job some months ago. Now, my stepmother is the one feeding us. She gave me this money to pay my school fees today. She told me not to come back home without the school receipt. If I do, she will beat me and maybe even send my father out of the house." Madam Patricia's heart broke. She didn't have much. She was a poor widow, struggling to survive each day by selling small baskets of tomatoes. What she made that day was the only money she had left. But when she looked at Matthew's face, she didn't think twice. "How much is the school fees?" she asked softly. 5,000 naira, Matthew replied in a shaky voice. Patricia reached into the old tin box under her stall. She brought out a small bundle of notes. It was all she had made that day. Slowly, she placed it in Matthew's hand. "Here, take it. Go and pay your school fees," she said with a weak smile. Matthew's eyes widened in surprise. "Mama, are you sure?" "Yes, my child," she said, nodding. "It's my last, but it's okay. Be serious in school. Don't follow bad friends. One day, you will be great." Matthew held the money tightly and wiped his tears. "Thank you, Mama. I promise I will make you proud. When I become rich, I will never forget you. I will look for you and help you." Patricia smiled and nodded. "Make sure you don't forget my name." "I won't," Matthew said. She placed her hand gently on his head and whispered a prayer. Then she returned to her stall, still with no food for herself, but with peace in her heart. Matthew ran toward the school before the gate closed. He looked back once and whispered, "God bless that woman." When Matthew got home, he looked tired, but a little calm. He had paid his school fees and had the receipt in his pocket. His father was sitting on a small bench, looking worried and stressed as usual. "Matthew, welcome," his father said. "Did you pay the school fees?" Matthew nodded slowly. "Yes, Daddy. I did." His father stood up, relieved. "Good. That's one less problem. Let me see the receipt." Matthew brought it out and gave it to him. But then he looked down and said, "Daddy, I have to tell you something." His father frowned. "What is it?" Matthew swallowed hard and said, "I lost the money on my way to school today." His father's face changed immediately. "What? You did what?" "I lost it, Daddy. I don't know how. I kept it in my pocket. I searched everywhere." "I cried," Matthew explained quickly. His father's voice rose. "Matthew, how could you be so careless? Do you know what that money means to this house? Your stepmother will starve us again. She warned me. She will say I'm useless. She may even send us out." Matthew's eyes filled with tears again. "I'm sorry, Daddy. I didn't mean to. I was so scared. I thought about not coming home." His father turned away, breathing heavily. But then someone helped me, Matthew added quietly. His father looked at him again. Who? Matthew smiled through his tears. A woman. She sells tomatoes by the roadside. She saw me crying and asked what was wrong. I told her everything. She gave me 5,000 naira. She said it was her last money, but she didn't mind. She told me to be serious in school and not to follow bad friends. His father blinked, confused. Wait, she gave you money? Just like that? Matthew nodded. Yes, she was kind. She said her name is Madame Patricia. For a moment, the room was quiet. Then his father sat down slowly. God bless that woman, he whispered. A stranger helped my son when even we had nothing left. Matthew, we must go and thank her. This kind of kindness is rare. Matthew smiled. Yes, Daddy. I want to thank her, too. I promised her that I won't forget her. When I become rich, I will look for her and help her. His father placed a hand on his back. And I believe you, son. God will help you. But here's the twist you won't see coming. A tragedy struck Patricia the very next day. Stay with Innocent Stories to see how fate unfolds. While Matthew and his father were planning to visit Madame Patricia to thank her, something terrible was already happening on her side. That morning, Patricia was sitting quietly in her small tomato stall by the roadside. She had only a few baskets left. Business was slow, and her stomach was empty, but her heart was still full of peace because she had helped a crying boy the day before. Suddenly, she heard loud noises. People were shouting. Big trucks and men wearing uniforms were coming down the road. One of the men held a megaphone and shouted, "All roadside stalls must be removed. This is government land. You were warned." Before she could even pack her things, they started pulling down her stall. Her baskets of tomatoes scattered all over the ground. Her old umbrella was thrown aside. She begged them, "Please wait. Let me pack my goods." But no one listened. They pushed and broke the wooden stall completely. Patricia stood there crying, holding one small basket of tomatoes she could save. Her sweat mixed with her tears as she watched everything she owned destroyed in minutes. "Where will I sell now?" she cried. "How will I feed my daughter?" The other women beside her were also crying and begging, but it was too late. The trucks had already moved to the next street. Patricia carried her small basket and walked home slowly under the hot sun. Her slippers were dusty, and her heart was heavy. All she could think about was how to tell her daughter Agatha the bad news. But as she turned the corner to their house, she stopped in shock. Agatha was already standing outside, crying too. Their bags and few belongings were thrown outside the gate. The landlord, a tall man with a big stomach, stood there with a wicked smile. "Madame Patricia," he said, "I told you, I warned you. You have not paid house rent for 1 full year. I'm tired of your excuses. You and your daughter must leave now." Patricia's mouth opened, but no words came out. She dropped her basket and rushed to her daughter. "Agatha, are you okay?" Agatha nodded, wiping her tears. "Mama, they threw everything outside. I begged them to wait for you, but they refused." Patricia turned to the landlord. "Please give me a little more time. I just lost my stall today. I don't even know where to go, please." But the man turned away. "I have new tenants coming. I don't run charity. Go and sleep in the street if you like." He walked back inside and shut the gate. Patricia and Agatha sat beside their bags. The sun was going down. People passed by. Some looked, some whispered, but nobody helped. Patricia held her daughter close. "I'm sorry, my child," she said, her voice shaking. "I tried. I really tried." Agatha rested her head on her mother's shoulder. "I know, Mama. You're the best mother in the world. God will help us." Patricia looked up at the sky. Her lips moved slowly as she whispered, "God, I don't regret helping that boy. If I had to choose again, I'd still give him my last money. I just need a miracle now. That night, they slept outside on the cold ground beside their bags. No food, no roof, no light. But Patricia still held on to faith in her heart. The next morning, Patricia and her daughter Agatha woke up early. They hadn't slept well. The cold ground had made their bodies stiff, and their stomachs were empty. Patricia sat quietly for a moment, then turned to Agatha. "My daughter," she said, gently rubbing her back, "we cannot stay like this. Let's go to the next city. My old friend, Sister Na, lives there. Maybe she can help us." Agatha nodded. She trusted her mother, even in hard times. Patricia used the little money she had left from her broken tomato stall to pay for 2 bus tickets. It wasn't much, but just enough to take them to the nearby city. They sat at the back of the old, crowded bus, holding their bags tightly. The journey was about an hour, but it felt longer. Patricia kept looking out the window, praying silently in her heart. When they arrived, they walked slowly to the street where Sister Na lived. Patricia hadn't seen her in a long time, but she remembered the house. She knocked on the gate gently, hoping and praying that her friend would still be there. A few seconds later, the gate opened, and there stood Sister Na, surprised and speechless. "Patricia," she asked, looking closely, "what? Why do you look like this?" Tears rolled down Patricia's cheeks as she hugged her friend. "Sister, we lost everything. Government people demolished my stall yesterday. Then when I got home, my landlord had thrown us out. We slept outside with our bags." Sister Na gasped and opened the gate wide. "Come in, my sister. Come in quickly." She brought them inside, gave them water to drink, and sat them down. Just then, Na shook her head in amazement. "Patricia, you are lucky. You came just at the right time. My husband and I are relocating this weekend. I was about to give the house key back to the landlord today so I could collect our 1-year advance rent." Patricia looked confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean the house is already paid for," Na said, smiling. "You can stay here. Just take over the place. I will tell the landlord to change the name on the rent. You don't have to pay anything yet." Patricia's hands flew to her mouth. "Ah, Sister Na, you want to give me your house just like that?" "Yes, Patricia. You're my friend, and you need help. God must have sent you here at the right time." Patricia fell on her knees, tears pouring from her eyes. "Thank you. Thank you. God will bless you, sister. He will reward you richly. You don't know what this means to me and my daughter." "Wait," Na added, "I'm not done. I also have some small money I saved for emergencies. You can use it to start another tomato stall. It should be enough for that and for Agatha's school fees, too." Patricia began to cry. She held her friend's hands and said, "You don't know what you've done for me. Just yesterday, I had nothing. Now I have a roof and a new start. God will bless you, Sister Na. He will reward you richly. You will never lack." Sister Na hugged her tightly. "That's what friends are for. You helped me once when I was in need. It's my turn now." Agatha smiled for the first time in days. "Thank you, Auntie," she said. "I'll study hard and make you proud." 3 days later, Matthew reminded his father about their plan to go and thank the kind woman who helped him. "Daddy, we promised to thank her. Let's go today." His father nodded. "Yes, my son. Let us go. A person like that deserves our thanks." They took a bus to the street where Matthew had met the woman. But when they got there, they were shocked. The whole row of small stalls by the roadside was gone. Everything had been demolished. The land was now empty. Broken wood, scattered baskets, and torn umbrellas were all that remained. It was quiet, and there was no one around to ask questions. Matthew's heart sank. "Daddy, this is where she sat. This is her stall. What happened?" His father looked around. "It must be the government demolition we heard about. They have sent all of them away. But how do we find her now? Matthew looked left and right, hoping to see someone who knew her, but nobody was there. Sadly, they turned and walked back home. As they stepped into the compound, Matthew's stepmother was already standing at the door with her hands on her waist. "Where are both of you coming from?" she asked sharply. Matthew's father answered calmly, "We went to look for the woman who helped Matthew pay his school fees." "What woman?" she asked, frowning. Matthew's father explained, "Matthew lost his school fees. A poor woman who sells tomatoes helped him. She gave him her last money. We went to thank her, but we couldn't find her." The woman burst out laughing. "Ah, what a nice story. And you expect me to believe that? You left this house since morning to go thank a woman. Are you not ashamed?" Matthew stepped forward. "But it's true, Ma. She really helped me." "Shut up, boy," she shouted. "Your father is cheating on me with that woman. That's why he left here this morning. Look at you both. Like father, like son." Matthew's father was shocked. "How can you say that?" "I'm telling you the truth. She helped your own stepson. Why are you thinking like this?" "Leave my house," she screamed. "I'm tired of taking care of two foolish people. You useless man. You and your liar of a son should just go and live with that tomato seller." Before they could say anything else, she went inside and started throwing out their clothes and bags. "Out. Out of my house." They stood there, confused, ashamed, and speechless. Matthew's father carried their bags slowly. He didn't want to argue. They walked down the street, looking for where to rest. Finally, they found a small store with a bench outside and sat down. The shopkeeper, a kind man, allowed them to rest there. As they sat quietly, Matthew's father looked up and saw a small shop that sold games and tickets for lucky drawers. He stood up. "Matthew, wait here. Let me try something." "Where are you going, Daddy?" Matthew asked. "Just a small game." "I'll be back," he said. He walked into the shop. He only had a little money in his pocket, the last note he was saving for their dinner. But something inside him said, "Try it." He bought a lottery ticket, wrote down the numbers quickly, and left. He didn't expect anything. It was just a chance to forget their troubles for a few minutes. 2 days later, Matthew's father went back to the shop, walking slowly, just to check the results. The shop owner looked at the paper and suddenly shouted, "Wait, sir, this is the winning number." Matthew's father was confused. "What do you mean?" "You've won." "You won the jackpot," the man said, jumping. "You've won 100 million naira." Matthew's father stood there, frozen. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. 100 what? 100 million? The shop owner repeated, "You're a rich man now." Matthew's father began to shake. His knees felt weak. He sat on the nearest chair and held his head with both hands. Tears began to fall from his eyes. "God, is this really happening to me?" he cried there. Tears of shock, tears of pain, and tears of joy. Everything had turned around in a moment. No more hunger, no more shame, no more sleeping outside. 15 years had passed. Matthew was no longer the small boy who once cried on the roadside because he lost his school fees. He had grown into a tall, handsome young man. His voice was deep, his steps were bold, and his heart was full of dreams. He was now the only son of a billionaire. After his father won 100 million naira that day, everything changed. They moved into a big house, started a business, and from there the money kept growing. Matthew didn't waste the opportunity. He worked hard, went to school, and studied business. After university, he started his own company. It didn't take long before his business became one of the fastest growing companies in the country. He became known for his smart ideas, humble attitude, and kind heart. But there was something Matthew never forgot: the woman who helped him. Every year on the same date, he would sit quietly in his office and remember the day she gave him her last money. He searched for her many times, but no one knew where she had gone after her stall was demolished. Still, Matthew never gave up hope. He kept praying, "One day, I will find her. I must find her." Meanwhile, in a small town far away, Patricia and her daughter Agatha were still struggling. Life hadn't been easy. The money sister Na gave them help for some time, but after that, they went back to starting over again and again. They lived in a small room at the back of an old compound. Patricia still sold tomatoes by the roadside. Her back ached now, and her eyes were not as sharp as before, but she kept pushing. Agatha had grown into a beautiful young woman. She was respectful, hardworking, and full of dreams, too. She had graduated from the university 1 year ago, but job hunting was hard. She had applied to many companies, attended several interviews, but nothing came through. So, she stayed home, sometimes helping her mother in the tomato business. Each morning, Agatha would wear an old apron, sit beside her mother, and arrange the tomatoes on a wooden table. She would shout, "Fresh tomatoes here. Buy your sweet tomatoes," hoping to make a few sales before the sun became too hot. Some days they sold enough to eat. Other days they returned home with tears and leftover tomatoes. "Mama, don't worry," Agatha would say. "I believe our story will change one day." Patricia would smile weakly and nod. "I know, my daughter. God is watching." But inside, she worried. She wished she could give Agatha a better life, a soft bed, a good job, a happy future. One evening, as the sun was going down and they were packing their goods, Patricia sat down and said, "Agatha, do you still remember that little boy I helped so many years ago?" Agatha smiled. "Yes, Mama. You've told me that story many times." "I wonder where he is now," Patricia said softly. "I hope he's doing well." It was a bright Saturday morning. Patricia had gone to the market to buy more tomatoes, leaving Agatha to watch over their small table by the roadside. She sat quietly, fanning herself with a piece of cardboard and waiting for customers. Suddenly, a black car parked a few steps away. A tall, well-dressed man stepped out. He looked gentle and carried himself like someone important. He walked over to Agatha's table and smiled politely. "Good afternoon, young lady," he said. "Good afternoon, sir," Agatha replied with a warm smile. "I just came from a friend's daughter's wedding in this area," the man said. "I want to buy some tomatoes to cook stew when I get home." Agatha began selecting the freshest tomatoes for him. As she placed them in a bag, something inside her pushed her to ask a question. "Sir, sorry to ask," she said shyly, "please don't be offended. Why would a man like you go home to cook stew by yourself? Don't you have a wife or children?" The man chuckled softly. "No offense at all. That's a good question." He looked down for a moment and then spoke slowly. "I don't have a wife. My only son is always out of the country for business. He's hardly around, so I live alone. I had a cook, but she recently relocated to another state with her family. That's why I now cook for myself." Agatha nodded with understanding. "Oh, okay. I understand now, sir. I've been searching for someone who was not only a good cook, but also honest and trustworthy," the man continued. "I'm tired of eating restaurant food." He smiled again and extended his hand. "By the way, my name is Mr. Benson. I'm a businessman." Agatha shook his hand politely. "Nice to meet you, sir. My name is Agatha." Mr. Benson looked at her again. "What are you doing selling tomatoes here? You look like someone with more education." Agatha smiled weakly. "Yes, sir. I graduated from university last year. I've been looking for a job since then, but nothing yet. So, I help my mother sell tomatoes to support us." Mr. Benson raised his eyebrows. "HM. What if I offer you a job?" Agatha looked up quickly. "A job, sir?" "Yes," he nodded. "I already like your spirit. You speak well. You seem respectful. Come and work for me as my cook. I'll pay you a very good salary. That is, if you're truly a good cook." Agatha's eyes widened in shock. Are you serious, sir? Very serious, he replied, smiling. I've been looking for someone just like you. Agatha's heart raced. Sir, I am a very good cook. My mother can tell you I cook most of the meals in our house. I even bake sometimes. Mr. Benson laughed lightly. That's good. I believe you. Then Agatha's face fell a little. Sir, the only problem is we don't live in the same city. Mr. Benson didn't seem bothered. That's not a problem. You can come and live in my house. I have more than enough space. I'll give you your own room. You can go home twice a month to see your mother. Agatha couldn't believe what she was hearing. Her heart was full of joy. A job, a place to stay, and a good salary. It all felt like a dream. Sir, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. But I have to go home and tell my mother first. I must get her blessing. Of course, Mr. Benson said kindly. He brought out his phone and gave her his number. Call me tomorrow and let me know your decision. If you're not interested, I'll understand and look for someone else. Agatha took the number with shaking hands. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. He smiled, picked up his tomatoes, and walked back to his car. As the car drove away, Agatha stood frozen. Then she sat down slowly, her eyes full of tears, this time not from sadness, but from hope. She looked at the number again and whispered, Mama, maybe our story is finally about to change. That evening, Patricia returned from the market. She looked tired and worn out. She saw Agatha sitting on the wooden chair, smiling to herself. Patricia dropped her basket and looked at her daughter closely. Agatha, what's making you smile like that? You're laughing like someone who won the lottery. Agatha stood up quickly, full of excitement. Mama, welcome. I have good news for you. Patricia smiled. A man came to the stall today while you were away. He wanted to buy tomatoes, and we started talking. His name is Mr. Benson. He said he's a businessman, and he lives in the next city. Patricia raised one eyebrow. Okay, go on. He told me he doesn't have a wife, and his son is always out of the country. He said he needs someone to cook for him. His cook relocated. Mama, he offered me a job. Patricia's eyes widened. A job? Just like that? From buying tomatoes to offering you a job? Yes, Mama, Agatha replied, her smile growing. He said he likes me, that I speak well and look responsible. He said I can live in his house, and he will pay me well. Patricia's smile disappeared. She sat up straight. And live in his house? Agatha, don't you know the world is dangerous? What if he is a ritualist? I don't trust some of these billionaires. You think because he wore fine clothes and drove a big car, he is normal? Agatha tried to stay calm. Mama, please don't think like that. Agatha, Patricia snapped, don't mama me. I'm your mother. Do you know how many girls have gone missing because of offers like this? What if he's a kidnapper? What if he locks you inside one big house, and we never see you again? Agatha held her mother's hand gently. Mama, I understand your fear, but he didn't force me. He gave me his number and said I should call him if I'm interested. He didn't even collect my number. He said I can take my time. Patricia looked into her daughter's eyes. Agatha, are you sure about this? My spirit is not settled. Agatha nodded. I will ask questions when I get to his neighborhood. I will find out from people who live there. If anything looks strange, I won't enter the house. Patricia was quiet. She looked away and sighed deeply. You know, you're all I have in this world. If anything happens to you, I'm finished. Agatha leaned on her mother's shoulder. Mama, nothing will happen to me. I promise. This might be the breakthrough we've been praying for. I don't want to keep sitting here waiting for a job that may never come. Patricia slowly began to relax. She wiped a tear from her eye and whispered, I just want you to be safe. I will be, Mama, Agatha replied, hugging her tightly. And when I start working, I'll send you money. You will stop selling tomatoes under the sun. You'll rest. That's my promise. Patricia kissed her forehead. Okay, my daughter. If your heart is at peace with it, then go. But please be careful. Very, very careful. Agatha smiled and nodded. Thank you, Mama. I will call Mr. Benson today. As she walked into the room to find her phone, Patricia looked up at the sky and prayed silently, Lord, if this man is truly sent by you, let it work out. But if he means evil, let Agatha never step into that house. The next morning, Agatha stood outside with her phone in hand. She took a deep breath and dialed the number Mr. Benson gave her. Her heart beat fast as it rang. Hello, the deep, calm voice answered. Good morning, sir. This is Agatha, she said with a small smile. I spoke to my mother, and she has agreed. Oh, that's wonderful news, Mr. Benson said happily. Thank you for calling. I'll send you the directions now. Just take a bus to my area, and I'll have someone waiting at the bus stop to bring you in. Thank you, sir. I'll be on my way shortly. After the call, Agatha rushed inside. Mama, I'm going now. Patricia stood at the door, her eyes full of love and worry. She hugged her daughter tightly. God will go with you. Don't forget everything I told you. Shine your eyes and don't let your guard down. I will, Mama. I promise. Agatha packed her small bag, hugged her mother again, and left for the bus park. The ride took almost an hour, but she was excited. When she got to the bus stop, a man wearing a neat shirt waved at her. Are you Miss Agatha? Yes, she replied. Follow me, he smiled. My boss is waiting. They entered a clean car and drove through a quiet, beautiful neighborhood. When they reached Mr. Benson's compound, Agatha's eyes widened. The house was large and beautiful. Flowers lined the walkway, and the gate was painted bright white. It was like a house from a movie. Mr. Benson came out to welcome her. You're welcome, Agatha. Come in. Come in. This will be your new home. Agatha smiled. Thank you, sir. This place is beautiful. He led her inside and showed her a clean, simple room with a bed, a wardrobe, and even a small mirror. You'll stay here, and the kitchen is just down the hallway. Don't worry, I'll treat you like family. Just be yourself and cook good food, he said, laughing. Agatha started work that same day. She cleaned the kitchen, made jollof rice and fried fish, and soon became the heart of the house. Every corner smelled like her food. Mr. Benson smiled every time he ate, always saying, This is the best thing that has happened to me since my cook left. 2 weeks later, something unexpected happened. Mr. Benson's only son, Matthew, returned from his trip abroad. He came back without telling anyone. The gate opened quietly, and his car drove in. He entered the house with his suitcase and walked straight to the kitchen, where the sweet smell of egusi soup filled the air. He stepped in and saw her, a young woman, standing by the gas cooker, stirring the pot gently. Her face was calm, her skin glowing, and her eyes focused on the food. He stood there for a second, then said, Good afternoon. Agatha turned quickly. Oh, good afternoon, sir, she said, smiling shyly. I'm Matthew. You must be the new cook. Yes, sir. My name is Agatha. Nice to meet you, he said with a smile. Your food smells amazing. Thank you, sir, she replied softly. Matthew walked to the living room, dropped his bag, then found his father reading a newspaper. Dad, he said, sitting down beside him. Matthew, welcome back, Mr. Benson smiled. You came back early. How was your trip? Good, Matthew said casually, then leaned closer. But Dad, you never told me the new cook you hired is this beautiful. Damn, Father, she's hot. Mr. Benson dropped his newspaper and gave his son a serious look. Hey, remove your eyes from that girl. She came here to cook, not to be chased around. Matthew laughed. I'm just saying the truth. She's not only beautiful, she smells like home-cooked stew. Mr. Benson chuckled and shook his head. Just behave yourself. I will. I will, Matthew said, smiling. But as he leaned back on the sofa, he couldn't stop thinking about the girl in the kitchen, the girl who cooked like a queen and smiled like peace. Days passed in Mr. Benson's house, and things became smoother for Agatha. She had gotten used to the kitchen, the cleaning routine, and even the large compound with beautiful flowers. But there was one thing she hadn't gotten used to yet: Matthew. Since the day he returned from his trip, he would always find his way to the kitchen, pretending to be hungry when he just wanted to see her. He would ask unnecessary questions like, "Is the rice ready?" when she had just finished serving him 10 minutes ago. Or sometimes he would walk in and say, "Agatha, teach me how to boil water. I want to learn cooking." Agatha would laugh and say, "Sir, you don't need to know how to boil water. You already have me." And Matthew would reply with a grin, "Exactly. That's why I like coming here." He made her laugh every day. He helped her carry tomatoes when she returned from the market. He even bought her a small apron with her name written on it in gold letters. But Matthew never crossed the line. He didn't flirt openly or make her uncomfortable. He treated her with respect, like a queen in the kitchen. Agatha started waiting to hear his footsteps every morning. She would cook with extra care, hoping he would be the first to taste her food. She started checking her reflection in the spoon, adjusting her hair, and smiling for no reason when she remembered his voice. One evening, as the sun was setting, Mr. Benson walked into the kitchen and found Agatha humming while chopping onions. "Agatha, you look happy," he said. She blushed. "I'm just grateful, sir." Mr. Benson smiled. "Good. You're a blessing to this house." The next weekend, Mr. Benson gave her permission to visit her mother. "Go and see your mama. I'm sure she misses you." Agatha was excited. She packed some groceries and a little gift she bought for her mother with her first salary, a new wrapper and a pair of soft slippers. When she arrived home, her mother rushed out and hugged her tightly. "My daughter, you're looking fresh. God has done it." Agatha laughed. "Mama, I missed you." Inside the house, Patricia served her some hot yam porridge, and they sat down to catch up. "Mama," Agatha said, "I need to tell you something." Patricia looked up. "What is it?" "There's a man." "He's Mr. Benson's son," Agatha said, smiling shyly. "He's young, tall, handsome, respectful, funny," and Patricia asked, folding her arms, and I think I'm falling in love with him." Patricia's eyes widened. "Agatha, you're falling in love?" Agatha nodded. "Yes, Mama. I haven't told him yet. I don't even know if he feels the same. But there's something about him. The way he looks at me, the way he talks, the way he makes me laugh." Patricia smiled slowly. "Love is a beautiful thing, my daughter, but be careful. Don't rush. Look well." "I'm not rushing, Mama," Agatha said. I don't know. My heart feels soft every time I see him. I can't explain it." Patricia laughed gently. "That's how love starts." "Mama," Agatha whispered, "what if he loves me too?" "Then, my daughter," Patricia said, holding her hand, "pray. If it is truly from God, it will happen. No man can stop what God has planned." Agatha smiled and hugged her mother. Her heart was full of hope, like a flower just beginning to bloom. Far away, back at the big house, Matthew was in his room, staring at the ceiling. He smiled and whispered to himself, "This girl, Agatha, there's something special about her. I think I'm in love with her." Matthew sat in the garden behind their big house, watching the flowers sway gently in the breeze. His heart was full, but his mind was troubled. He had never felt this way before, not even in all his travels, business meetings, or the fancy parties he had attended. Agatha. That name had taken over his thoughts, his heart, his dreams. He stood up and walked into the living room, where his father was sipping tea and reading a newspaper. "Dad," he said, standing in front of him. Mr. Benson looked up. "Matthew, you look serious. Is everything all right?" Matthew took a deep breath. "Dad, I'm in love with Agatha." Mr. Benson smiled and placed the cup on the table. "I knew it." "You knew?" Matthew asked, surprised. Mr. Benson laughed softly. "Of course, I see the way you look at her. The way you follow her into the kitchen like a lost puppy." Matthew chuckled, then nodded. "Yes, Dad. I love her. I want to marry her as soon as possible. No time to waste." His father stood up slowly and placed his hand on Matthew's shoulder. "My son, you have chosen well. That girl is special. She is respectful, well brought up, hardworking, intelligent, and beautiful. Who wouldn't want a daughter-in-law like her?" Matthew smiled with relief. "Thank you, Dad." But he paused, lowering his voice. "I don't know how to tell her. I fear she might reject me." Mr. Benson laughed again. "Matthew, you afraid of rejection?" "I'm serious, Dad," Matthew said. "She's not like the other girls I've known. She's real, simple, pure. I don't want to scare her or make her uncomfortable." His father nodded. "If you truly love her, then tell her your mind. Speak from your heart. Even if she says no, at least you'll know. But who knows? She might just like you, too." Matthew looked down. "I hope so, Dad. I really hope so." The next day, Agatha returned from visiting her mother. She looked even more beautiful, like someone who had been soaked in love and joy. She entered the house, and Matthew came out to help her with her bag. "Welcome back," he said, smiling warmly. "Thank you, sir," she replied. "No, no more sir. Just call me Matthew," he said. She smiled and nodded. "Okay, Matthew." He took a deep breath. "Agatha, can we talk, please? Just 5 minutes." "Of course," she said, feeling butterflies in her stomach. He led her to the small garden at the back of the house. The flowers were in full bloom. The birds sang softly, and the sky was a soft orange. Matthew turned to her and looked straight into her eyes. "Agatha," he began, his voice shaking a little, "I know this might sound funny or surprising or even foolish to you, but I can't keep it inside anymore." Agatha stood still, her heart racing. "I am deeply in love with you," he said. "From the first day I saw you in the kitchen. The way you moved, the way you smiled, the way you cared. I couldn't stop thinking about you. You've stolen my heart, and I don't want it back." Agatha gasped slightly. "I don't waste time," Matthew continued. "Life is short, and I know what I want. I want you, Agatha. I want to marry you. Please don't say no. Marry me." For a moment, there was silence. Agatha stood frozen. Then slowly, she stepped closer, her eyes full of emotion. "Matthew," she said softly, "from the first day I saw you, I fell for you, too. But I couldn't say it." "Why?" Matthew asked, surprised. She smiled. "Because I'm a woman, and it's the man's duty to say I love you first, not the woman." Matthew laughed, tears forming in his eyes. "So all this while, you loved me, too?" Agatha nodded. "Yes, I just didn't know if you felt the same." Matthew held her hands gently. "I do, with all my heart. Will you marry me, Agatha?" Agatha smiled, her eyes shining with joy. "Yes, Matthew, I will marry you." He pulled her into a warm hug, and the flowers around them seemed to dance. The wind blew softly, as if it was clapping for their love. Inside the house, Mr. Benson looked out the window and smiled. "This is what happens when destiny speaks," he whispered. And somewhere far away, Patricia knelt in her small room, praying. "Lord," she said, "wherever my daughter is right now, please let her be happy." She had no idea that her daughter was already walking into her answered prayer. A few days later, Matthew said to Agatha, "I want to meet your mother." I want to thank her for raising such a wonderful woman. I want to look into her eyes and tell her I want to marry her daughter." Agatha smiled sweetly and nodded. "She'll be happy to meet you, too." That Saturday morning, they both dressed simply but neatly. Matthew looked calm, but his heart was beating fast. They were on their way to visit Patricia, Agatha's mother. "Are you nervous?" Agatha asked him, holding his hand. Matthew chuckled. "A little. I've never met someone's mother as a fiancé before." Agatha smiled. "Relax. She'll love you. Just be yourself." As they reached Agatha's small family house, Matthew looked around. The area was quiet and humble. They knocked gently on the wooden door, and Agatha pushed it open. They both stepped into the living room and sat down on a simple brown sofa. The air smelled like home, warm and real. "Is your mother around?" Matthew asked. "I think she stepped out to buy something," Agatha replied. "But she'll be back soon." A few minutes later, the front door opened. Patricia walked in slowly, carrying a black nylon bag. Her face looked tired but brightened when she saw her daughter. "My daughter, you didn't tell me you were coming today," she said with surprise. Agatha stood up and hugged her. "Mama, I wanted to surprise you. I brought someone with me." Patricia turned to look at Matthew. He stood up and greeted her respectfully. "Good afternoon, Ma," he said, bowing slightly. "Good afternoon, my son," she replied, looking at him closely. "You didn't tell me your visitor was this fine," Patricia teased, laughing. She looked at Matthew for a second, then turned. But Matthew kept staring at her. Something inside him stirred. A memory, a voice, a face. As Patricia turned back around, he stepped closer, his voice soft and a little shaky. "Ma, please. Your name. Is it Patricia?" Patricia looked confused. "Yes, I am Patricia. Do we know each other?" Matthew smiled sadly. "You don't remember me, do you?" She shook her head slowly. "No, I'm sorry. Many years ago, I was just a small boy. I had lost my school fees and was crying by the roadside," Matthew said. Patricia's face remained still. "I told you everything, how my stepmother would beat me if I didn't pay. You were selling tomatoes. You listened to me. You gave me 5,000 naira, your last money, and told me to be serious in school." Patricia gasped a little. "You prayed for me. You told me to never forget you. You said your name was Patricia, and I never did." Her mouth slowly dropped open. "Wait, are you that small boy?" Matthew nodded. "Yes, Ma. I am the boy you helped." He stood and knelt gently before her. "You didn't just help me, Ma. You gave me hope. You saved me from shame and pain. That one act changed my life. I became something because of that one moment of kindness." Patricia's eyes filled with tears. She covered her mouth and sat down slowly, shocked. "God, you mean that boy was you?" "Yes," Matthew said. "And I've been looking for you for years. And I never knew the woman I fell in love with is your daughter." Agatha also had tears in her eyes. She gently rubbed her mother's back. "Mama, I didn't know too until now." Patricia couldn't speak for a moment. She just sat there, looking at Matthew with shaking hands. "See how you've grown. See how God lifted you." Matthew held her hands. "Now I want to bless you the same way you blessed me. I want to marry your daughter, Mama. I want to take care of both of you. This is not just love. This is destiny." Patricia broke down in tears. "God, you are too faithful." She looked at her daughter. "Agatha, you didn't tell me you were in love with an angel." Agatha laughed through her tears. "I didn't even know he was the boy you helped. I just loved him for who he is." Patricia smiled and looked at Matthew. "You're welcome, my son. You were once a boy who needed help. Now you've returned as a man with blessings. I thank God for this moment." They hugged tightly. In that small room, hearts were healed. Promises were remembered, and a beautiful future was born. The next morning, Matthew woke up with one thing on his mind: honor. He didn't just want to marry Agatha. He wanted to honor the woman who had changed his life with one small act of kindness. Later that day, he called Agatha and her mother, Patricia, to come outside and sit in front of their house. A car pulled up slowly, and 4 men came out carrying large bags of rice, cartons of food, cooking oil, new pots, and 2 lovely wrappers wrapped in shiny gold paper. "What's going on?" Patricia asked, surprised. Matthew stood, smiling. "This is just the beginning, Mama." One of the men brought a clean brown envelope and gave it to Patricia. She opened it slowly. Her hands started shaking. It was a check with her name boldly written on it for 10 million naira. Patricia covered her mouth. "Matthew, what is this?" "This is for you, Mama," he said gently. "For everything you lost. For all the years you suffered. For the rent you couldn't pay. For your tomato stall that was destroyed. For your last 5,000 naira that you gave to a crying boy without asking for anything in return. You deserve this and more." Patricia burst into tears, unable to speak. But that wasn't all. Matthew turned to her again. "Mama, there's one more thing." He brought out another small envelope and handed it to her. She opened it and found a set of shiny keys inside, along with papers. "That's the key and documents to your new house, Mama," he said, kneeling before her. "A 3-bedroom house in the same town, fully furnished, already paid for in your name. You will never pay rent again. Never." Patricia dropped to her knees, weeping. God, you remembered me." Agatha hugged her mother tightly. "Mama, this is your reward. God never forgot you." A few weeks later, Matthew and Agatha had a beautiful garden wedding. It was colorful, simple, but full of love and meaning. Agatha wore a flowing white dress. Matthew stood proudly beside her, smiling from ear to ear. Mr. Benson looked at his son with pride. Patricia sat beside him, wearing her new wrapper and matching head tie, her skin glowing, her heart full. From a roadside tomato seller to a homeowner and the mother of a bride, God had truly lifted her. As they danced, Matthew leaned close to Agatha and whispered, "I told you I don't waste time." Agatha smiled. "And I told you I loved you from the first day." Matthew turned to look at Patricia, who was laughing and dancing joyfully. He smiled and whispered again, "She gave me her last. Now I have given her my best." A few months later, Agatha had just given birth to 2 healthy twin boys. The house was filled with joy. Mr. Benson lifted one baby, smiling proudly. Patricia held the other, tears of joy in her eyes. "My daughter, God has doubled your blessings," she said softly. Matthew hugged Agatha and whispered, "You have made me the happiest man alive." And they all lived happily ever after. Dear viewers, what lessons did you take away from this dramatic tale? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story from Innocent Stories, give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest updates.